All right, good morning, everyone. I am sharing my screen with you. Give me a thumbs up if you see a PowerPoint presentation that says writing and solving equations. Great. So I'm going to move ahead to the review. I'd like you all to take, you have up to, take 2 minutes and work on this review here. For those of you who are just who are just joining, we understand you may not be able to easily find this in your packet. We understand that. Please take notes and do your work on the side on a piece of paper.
You're going to get started
Okay, we've got about 20 seconds left, so take about another 20 seconds to finish up the review. Okay, let's come back, everyone, and I'm going to reveal the answer to the review. So for number one, the 15-year-olds is the age group with the lower ratio of black belts to brown belts. And by filling in the ratio table, you would fill in the missing numbers 8, 20, and 20. Before we continue, I just want to norm something that we're going to continue to do for the rest of our classes. So I am the lead teacher for this math block right now, and Miss Scylla is co-teaching. In each of your classes, you will have a lead teacher and a co-teacher. It's easy to tell who the lead teacher is because they're the one who's doing all the talking and calling on scholars and showing you the PowerPoint. It's going to be most effective if you message the co-teacher. If you have any questions, like I need to go get a pencil, or I need to use the bathroom, or I don't have the right packet, because the lead teacher has a lot going on managing the Zoom meeting, and we may not be able to get to your questions right away. So from now on, make sure that you message that co-teacher, the one who's not in front of you talking, so that they can get to you quicker. All right. So moving on with today's lesson. In the last lesson that we had, which was on Friday, we focused on simplifying ratios using proportional reasoning, and we compared two ratios using graphs. Today, we will be writing and solving one-step and two-step equations using inverse operations. What are inverse operations? Show me a hand. What are inverse operations? Anthony's got a hand up. Let's go to Anthony.
Inverse operation is like the opposite of an equation of an I don't know what you call this thing, but the plus. Let's say I'm adding, and then the inverse operation of adding is going to be subtracted because it's the opposite of what I'm doing.
Okay, it's the opposite. Yeah, the word that you're looking for is it's an operation. The plus addition is called an operation. Subtraction is called an operation. Yeah, so exactly, it's the opposite. The inverse operation is the thing that you do to undo the other one. So if you add 3 to something, if you want to undo that, you have to subtract. Bintu, your hand is up. I'm coming to you. Bintu, you can unmute yourself, or
I wanted to add on to the question.
go ahead.
So an inverse operation is like the opposite of the operation you use. The opposite of an operation you use to answer a problem.
Okay, to answer a problem. And Bintu, let's say that we wanted to use inverse operations to find the value of a variable in an equation. How do we use inverse operations to find the value of the variable? There's one. I'm just gonna. I have to pause you. Please chat any of your questions to Miss Scylla, and not directly to me, because I will not be able to see them immediately. Go ahead, Bintu.
What was the question again?
Yes, the question is, how do you use inverse operations to find the value of a variable? I'm going to write an example. 2x plus 5 equals 15. How would you use inverse operations?
To use inverse operation in this case by, like, you know how you have to add 5 in the end to get 15? You could subtract 5 to get an amount, which is 10. And then when you have to multiply x by 2, you could divide x by 2. Or in this case, you could just divide 10. You could just divide 10 by 2 to get 5.
Thank you, Bintu. Absolutely. So the important thing about when we use the inverse operations is we also have to use the reverse order of operations. Reverse order of operations. Instead of doing PEMDAS, remember parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division from left to right, addition and subtraction from left to right. We're going to do those things in reverse order. Okay, so now I'm ready to attack this ID problem. Erin is taking a walk in the city. Her plan was to walk a total of 23 blocks on her tour. She already walked 3 blocks on the tour. She gets so involved in her sightseeing that she forgot to take pictures. She decides that she should stop to take pictures every 5 blocks for the remaining portion of the tour. How many times will she need to take pictures? So this problem is asking me to find how many times Erin will stop to take pictures in the city. I already know that she walked 3 blocks. And I know that she's going to be walking 23 blocks in total. The problem also tells me that she stops every 5 blocks. I can define this variable s right here that I just circled as the number of times that she stopped. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to find how many times she stopped, but we don't know what it is. So we have to give it a variable because it's unknown right now. So now I need to think about the steps that I would need to take to solve and the operations that I would need to solve. I'm going to use a word equation in order to show the steps of this problem. So the number of blocks between stops times the number of stops is equal to the total blocks walked. So now that I have this word equation, I can replace the words with the information that we know. So we know that the number of blocks between stops is 5. She goes 5 blocks and then she stops. We don't know the number of stops. That's what we're trying to find in the problem. So we're going to plug in our variable s there. And that's equal to the total blocks that she walked. Now let me explain this step right here, which is 23 minus 3. The reason it's 23 minus 3 is because she planned to walk 23 blocks on her tour, but she's already walked 3 of them. So she's not walking 23 blocks anymore. She has to go 3 fewer than that because she's already done it. So 23 minus 3 means that there's 20 blocks remaining. So now that I'm ready, now I have an equation here. It has the variable, which I'm trying to solve for, s. We want to find the value of s using the inverse operations. And when we use inverse operations, we have to make sure that we use the reverse order of operations. So we look and we start to see, is there any subtraction or addition that I have to do? No, there's no subtraction or addition. Is there multiplication or division? There is. There is this multiplication right here, 5 times s. So because s is being multiplied by 5, I have to do the opposite of it, the inverse of it, to undo that. So to undo multiplying by 5, we're going to divide by 5. And anything you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side of the equation. So the number of stops, s, we now see is equal to 4. And that would be our answer. Our answer is 4 stops. Does stopping 4 times on the tour make sense? Does this answer seem reasonable? Does it make sense? Let's get I'm gonna go to Anaya. Does it seem reasonable? Anaya, can you unmute yourself?
it does seem reasonable because if you have the equation and then you have to use the inverse of PEMDAS, then that means that instead of using like the multiplication, you have to use the division. And so you would get the answer of 4.
Thank you,
I
Anaya.
always don't.
Let's mute yourself. Thank you, Anaya. Okay. Joseph, so reviewing the strategy here, what strategies did I use in order to understand and solve this problem? Joseph, we're not able to hear you. Yeah, no, is anyone able to hear Joseph? Give a thumbs up if you hear Joseph. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you, Joseph. You may need to go back in, Joseph, and turn the microphone on for the meeting. When you join the meeting, it says join with microphone or audio. Let's go to Jessica. What strategy work, Jessica, did I use?
You used the PEMDAS equation and then you wrote it out. You wrote out what each thing that you have to do to help you solve the problem.
Okay, what were those things? That is the question. The question is, what are the things
you
that
wrote
I
out
did?
the equation.
Okay, I wrote out the equation.
And then you listed out what you have to do, like what you know and what you don't know, and what's the operation.
Absolutely. Listed the things I know, the things I don't know. I created a word equation. So let's go to Lysandra. Lysandra, how do word equations help us write two-step equations with variables?
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. The word equation is this one that's on the screen, number of blocks between stops times number of stops equals total blocks walked. How did writing that word equation help to solve this two-step algebraic problem here that we did?
Well, what you did is that you used PEMDAS and you plugged in the numbers from the number equation.
Yeah, absolutely. We used the word equation to help us understand the structure of the equation, and then afterwards we plugged the numbers that we already knew and listed. We plugged those numbers into those words, and then we had a number equation afterwards, which we solved. Okay. Our goal afterwards is always been going to be to find the value of that variable. And the way that we find the value of that variable is in inverse operations. I want you all to say that. You don't need to unmute yourselves, but let's all say this. To solve for the value of the variable, we need to use the inverse operations. Inverse operations. That's what we're going to be using for the rest of the lesson. Okay. So now we're on the we do. Let's all follow along together. Vivian has $50 in her purse. She pays for her dry cleaning, which is $17. When she arrives home, her 3 children ask if they can have money to go to the movies. If she decides to give each child the same amount of money, how much will each child receive? What I want everyone to do right now is I want you all to list the following things on your paper. So what we're finding, well, basically what we're being asked, what we know, and then list what we know. Go ahead and take 15 seconds. What are we being asked to find and what do we know? So in this problem, we're being asked to find how much each child will receive. We know that she started out with $50 in her purse. We know that she then pays $17 for her dry cleaning, and that she gives 3 children equal amounts of money. What we don't know, what we're trying to find, is exactly how much she's going to give each child. And so we're going to give that a variable. The variable we're going to call X in this case. So the money she gives each child is going to be the variable X. Let's use that strategy work. So Ms. Silla, I'm actually going to try, let's try to do a breakout room for this one. And I'm just going to split it into 2 breakout rooms, and let's just take a couple of minutes to, we can share ideas about the strategies to solve this problem. And then when we come back together, they should each have tried to solve the problem already, and then I'll review the answer. So I'm gonna go ahead and start 2 breakout rooms. Make sure that you record any of the information that you need now, because when I go into the breakout room, you won't be able to see this slide. So if you don't have it, record all the necessary information now. Oh, Miss Silla, is it possible?
Yeah, you want me to do the breakout rooms?
Yes, because you're the host. So yes.
Okay, got it. I'll do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right, join your breakout room, guys. I don't know if I brought us back too soon, Mr. Amador. I don't know how much time you're supposed to. Oh, you're muted. You gotta unmute yourself.
That's fine. No, that's fine in timing. We just went over, we just started writing a word equation. So a word equation, which we might have written, is that the total money that Vivian had minus the money she spent. Well, let me just even write a little thing here. This is what she had available, right? This is what she had available to give the kids. That's what this is right here. So the total money minus the money spent, split evenly means divide. Divided by the number of kids is how much money each kid is gonna get. So now with this number equation, maybe you have one that looks very similar. Go ahead and plug in the values which we know and solve. And solve the equation. I thought I lost the Zoom meeting for a second, but I'm here. Oops. Okay, so Eric is saying that the packet that has this lesson in it is the one that says grade 6 weekly packet, March 30th through April 30th. Thank you, Eric. So, once we plug in our numbers here, 50 minus 17 divided by 3. Well, 50 minus 17 is 33. And 33 divided by 3 is equal to 11. So we find that the answer is 11. So the steps that we're going to take, I'm going to release you. You have 10 minutes of IP. The steps that we're going to take is we're going to ask ourselves, what are we trying to find? Let's actually go to some scholars to finish off the strategy work. What other strategy, Elijah, what other strategy work are we going to use in our independent practice?
We're also just gonna invest in the to make sure that our answers are reasonable.
Okay, specific, yep, invest in the problem, make sure it's reasonable. Specifically, what are some strategies that we use today?
We have to go back to the back. Okay, so we, yeah, so we use finding, what's it called? We use finding, what's it called? Get the variable in order to answer the question, and we did that and we basically just did that by writing a word equation and writing out making sure that we know all the details in the question, so we'll be able to write an equation that helps us find the variable.
Yes, thank you, Elijah. And Lemuel also had a hand. Lemuel, we'll come to you, and then we'll start our IP.
You can also use the inverse operation.
Yep, inverse operations in order to solve for the value of the variable. I think that we're set up pretty well for success in our independent practice. So, but you may need me to share that with you on your screen in case you're, so let's go ahead and do that. Going to say, okay. So give me a thumbs up if you now see a Word document lesson plan. And let's see, now we should be seeing independent practice. Give me a thumbs up if you see that on your screen. Thank you, Josue. Thank you, Esther. Okay.
I said, stop.
Someone is unmuted. So I know this isn't the ideal way, if in case you do not have it in your packet, but every few minutes I will just scroll ahead to the next two problems. So I would recommend that you write down the problems as you see them on your paper. So if you need a little more time on your own to work on them, you have them written down on your paper. Okay, scholars. We've got just about a minute left in class. I'm going to quickly share some of the answers to the IP so you can check yourselves. All right. So in today's lesson, we looked at how to write one and two step equations. We had to break down real world problems into information that we knew and information that was missing. And we used word equations to help us understand the operations that were involved in the problem. Why did we need to know? This is a question, so give me a hand. Why did we need to know the order of operations in order to be able to solve problems today? Why did we need to know the order of operations to be able to solve today's problems? Josue. Go ahead, Josue, unmute yourself.
We need to know the order of operations, also known as PEMDAS. Stop! I'm talking! Okay, so we need to know the order. Sorry, my brother's being really annoying. Okay, we need to know the order of operations to solve these problems, also known as PEMDAS. We need to know the order of operations to solve today's. Oh my god. I lost my train of thought. My brother is being annoying.
Okay, we need to know the order of operations because we need to do them in reverse. Because when we solve for a variable, we need to use the reverse order. So need to know order of ops, PEMDAS, so that we can solve in reverse. You can't go in reverse if you don't know the correct order to begin with. Homework, there are a few questions about homework, whether it's in the packet or whatnot, or where it is. I'm just gonna say right now, homework is homework. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take a look at the packet that was uploaded and see if I can figure out where it's located in that actual packet.